Okay, so this is gonna be part two to what if Deku was the Winter Soldier? So let's get into it.
Saying that it feels right. That it feels right.
All right. Before I actually get started, I just want to say something. Someone commented on the last video or the first part to this series, and I said that I didn't know what year My Hero Academia takes place in. Then someone commented the year. It was like 2339, something like around there. And the only thing that's gonna make that, like, I just wanted to point that out. I'm gonna put the comment on screen so you guys can see it. And yeah, that, like, the only I just wanted to bring it up. Like, it's not gonna affect the story. I just wanted to bring it up. Well, like, yeah, man, it's not really like affecting it like forward, but Deku's just gonna be in that chamber that I mentioned last time a lot longer, like 300 to 400 years, which is like a really long time. So, anyways, let's continue. So, Deku like got questioned at like the police station. Yeah, I think it was a police station. Kind of forgot. Anyway, so, he like he started to train with Aizawa, and basically he started to stay at UA. Yeah, basically that's what he did. He started to train with like pro heroes for like the next 10 months. And yeah, he would be training with mostly Aizawa, but also Deku would also be teaching Aizawa a few things. Yeah, like just combat, and just like he just been telling him stuff like about him, because he's been like regaining all of his memories. And like, yeah. And like from like every time like they would take a break from training, they would always, or not always, but sometimes they would go back to the park where, that the base that Deku was kept at, and they would just start looking around to see like there was any like things left. But most of like those papers were just like gone. There wasn't really anything there, like just like no files, like really anything. It was just Deku in the chamber, and that's about it. But he kept on training. He studied. He also told, like, the heroes would also question him, like the ones that he was close to, like mainly like the staff at UA. But he worked with like other pro heroes like Endeavor, All Might, like I said, mainly Aizawa. Aizawa taught him how to use the scarf, and Deku's a pretty quick learner, so he picked it up in like, I'm gonna say, like a month. And Aizawa was impressed because it took him 5 years to master the scarf, and Deku was able to do it in 1 month. And yeah, like besides the training, he would also like be learning like new things, and just like learning like how the world works now. Like, it's very different from his time. And yeah, and he would also, like, I'm gonna say, the heroes that I'm gonna say that he's already no, not yet. He's already a student in UA, but they're just waiting for the year to start. He didn't have to take the recommended test. Yeah, he didn't have to take the recommended test because he kept on, like, when he was training, he fought the robots and like other pro heroes. So like they just like figured that he doesn't really need to take the entrance exam or the recommended test. So he's already like a UA student. So yeah. eventually, the 10 months would go by, and Deku has regained most of his memories. Like I'm gonna say, like 85% of his memories, and he's having like he's not like really in the right state of mind. Because he has like killed people for many years, and that like really affected him like mentally. So he had to go to therapy like a couple of times. you know and yeah, so let's cut to the 10 months time skip. So the 10 months are up, and Deku is about to go to yeah, I want to say he has like a little room. No, yeah, he has like a room at UA. So he's about to go to his room, and Aizawa would call him. He would say, Midoriya, we have to talk. We have to talk. Nezu wants to talk to us. And Deku would say, "Oh, all right." So him and Aizawa would walk towards like Nezu's office, and like the other staff members would also be there, and they're just discussing about like the entrance exams and the recommended exams as well, and they're just talking about it, and Nezu would say like, "Oh, Aizawa, and Midoriya, you're here. Please take a seat." And they sit like next to each other, and you know Nezu would say, "So Midoriya, you know that you don't really need to take the tests, right?" Deku would say, "Yeah. So what would I have to do that day? Like, what am I gonna have to like help you guys or something with the other like with the people that are gonna take the test?" And Aizawa would say, "Yes, you're gonna help me with the recommended students." And Deku would say, "Oh, okay, but like, why not like the people that are taking the normal exam?" And Aizawa would say, "They're gonna be fighting the robots that you fought for training." And Deku would say, "Oh, all right, so yeah, that's fine." Nezu would say, "Perfect." So they start talking about other stuff like school related stuff. Deku gets excused, so he goes to bed, and he wakes up at like 5 in the morning. Because he always wakes up at 5 in the morning. Oh, I forgot to mention that his metal arm did get some upgrades. They just like yeah, his arm is just more durable, and they added like a special magnet to like if it ever gets detached from Deku's body, it can just come back and just like oh, and just like yeah, it just comes back and attaches itself. So yeah, that's like really the only upgrades. I'm sorry if you can hear my fan. I turned it on because it's very hot in my room, and yeah, I'm sorry if you can hear it. It's kind of loud, but anyways, and Deku, he goes to like I'm gonna say he just goes to like the teacher's lounge because he's allowed back there, and he just gets like a cup of coffee, and yeah, he drinks it. He steps out, and he runs into Aizawa, and he says, "Oh, good morning, Aizawa." And Aizawa would say, "Yeah, good morning, Midoriya." And Deku would ask, "When are the like the students, like when are the people are gonna show up for the recommended test?" Aizawa would say, "They're not gonna get here until like another 3 or 4 hours." And Deku would say, "Oh, really? I guess I woke up early for nothing." And Aizawa would say, "It's fine. We have stuff to do anyway. We have to get prepared." And they like Aizawa would say like, "Follow me. Like we have to prepare a few things." And Deku would say, "Yeah, all right." So they just go to like this facility. I'm just gonna say it's like the gym. that they always use, and that's where the exams are going to be held at. And they just set up, just I want to say it's like the same thing as the ball or the first like fitness test that they did in the first episode. Class 1A. It's basically the same thing as that. And they would also have like a sparring match, and like yeah, they would also have one-on-ones to see like who's like stronger or something. Yeah, yeah. So they would set up though like that, and like time would go by. Eventually, the recommended students would show up, and like it's a bunch, like not a lot of people, but it's it's a it's a pretty big crowd, I guess. And like the only like there were a lot of recommended students, I think. I don't really know all of them. I just know that Todoroki and Momo were there, and that's about it. So yeah. And Azal would say, like, all right, you guys are the recommended students, right? They would all say yes. Azal would say, all right. So he grabs this like a baseball, he tosses it to a random person. He would say, you throw this ball and see how far you get. And the guy, he's not even important. He's not even gonna get in. So he says, yeah, all right. So he throws his ball. I must say he has like some kind of air cork or something. It's not the other guy that went that's in at the other school. It's not that guy. Forgot his name, but it's not him. It's just a random other guy. He uses his cork, and he like uses his air cork to like boost his ball to go further. And he gets 6,000 meters, or not 6,000, 600 meters. As I would say, good. Now someone else throw, and like everyone keeps doing that. And they would do like regular stuff. Like they would do the same thing. Long jump, 50-meter dash, group test, just everything. And eventually, once they were done with that, as I would say, all right, now you guys are gonna have a sparring match, one-on-one, and I'll pick your opponents. Now get in a straight line. And as I would just start pointing to two people. Deku would be just sitting there, just watching. And I want to say there was like an uneven amount of students. So I want to say Todoroki's the one that's left out. And as I would say, so you're the only one left. Midoriya, get over here. You could be his sparring partner. And Deku would say, all right. So he walks over there, and he just greets Todoroki, but Todoroki doesn't say anything. And usually, most of the time, Deku covers his metal arm, like just so like people like don't like just stare at it. And yeah. So no, you know what? No, he's not gonna cover it up. He doesn't cover it up. So people are just looking at Deku because he has a bionic arm. They would say like, "Whoa, you have a metal arm," and Deku would say, "Yeah," and they would say like, "That's pretty cool." He'd say, "Yeah, thanks." So Aizawa, who's gonna go first? Aizawa would say like he would just call out two random people. They would start sparring. That would go over eventually. Another group, and then another group, and eventually, Deku and Todoroki are up. It's gonna be they're the final match, and like yeah. So as I would say, let the match begin. Todoroki would use his ice and Deku would dodge it. And I'm gonna say that Deku was allowed to have. No, I'm gonna say he doesn't. He doesn't have any weapons on him. So he's just rushing towards Todoroki at like pretty fast, like faster than any ordinary human. You know, Todoroki would shoot some more ice. Deku would dodge. Todoroki would shoot more ice. He couldn't dodge like that attack, so he just punched through it with his bionic arm. The ice shatters, and Deku grabs one of the shattered pieces of ice and he just throws it at Todoroki as a distraction. Todoroki would throw up a wall of ice to block the attack, but Deku knew that this was gonna happen, so he went around the wall and just punched Todoroki right in the stomach. Todoroki would get sent flying back. Todoroki would get back up. He would start shooting more ice. Deku would be using the ice to his advantage. He would start like jumping off of them and leaping, like jumping from side to side. And Todoroki can't really like aim his attacks towards him, because every time he does, it's just making Deku making Deku have an advantage over him. And eventually the match would go on for a bit, but eventually Deku does like take down Todoroki, because Todoroki was he was getting frostbite for overusing his ice side. And, Deku just takes him down. And yeah. So anyway, so Aizawa would say, all right, that's it. You guys can go. And the people that got injured will also go to Recovery Girl to, to heal up. And, Deku would say, how did I do? Aizawa would say, you did fine. You adapted quickly to his quirk. I'm impressed by that. And Deku would say, like, who was that guy anyway? He didn't say anything. Aizawa would say, that's Shota Todoroki, the son of Endeavor. Deku would say, the son of Endeavor? But shouldn't he have an ice quirk or a fire quirk? Aizawa would say, he does have a fire quirk. His quirk is called half hot, half cold. His right side emits ice, while his left side emits fire. Deku would say, wow, it's a pretty impressive quirk. Aizawa would say, yes, it is. For some reason, he doesn't use his fire side, only his ice. Deku would say, well, that's stupid. Like, why would he only use half his power? Aizawa would say, I don't know. Anyway, let's get these test results back to Nezu and see what he thinks. Deku would say, yeah, alright. So, they go to Nezu, they give him the test results, they leave. And I would say that the regular tests were still ongoing. Like, yeah, the regular entrance exams were still ongoing, so, Aizawa and Deku, they decided just to watch from the control room. And they're seeing, like, people, destroying robots. Eventually, Zero Pointer would show up. Uraraka wouldn't get stepped on because they would stop the robot before it stepped on Uraraka. And, like, nobody saved her, so nobody got any, like, hero points, and that's about it. So Deku would say, huh. And he would look at the scores, and he would see, someone called Katsuki Bakugo in first place. And Deku would say, huh. Hey, like, who's that? And I'm gonna say Nezu's there as well. So he would say, oh, that's Katsuki Bakugo. And he would look through his papers, like his file. And he would say, huh, his quirk is called expulsion. You can ignite his explosive, his sweat, that's similar to nitroglycerin. He can ignite it and create explosions. And Deku would say, that's interesting, but also kind of weird. Nezu would say, yeah, I guess. It is kind of gross since it's using his sweat. But anyways, he did get first place. And they would start replaying, like, the parts where Bakugo was in, and they would just see him destroy robots with his quirk. And Nezu would say that he's very creative when it comes to his quirk. He's able to propel himself forward, like almost like flying. He can use his explosions to move out of the way really quickly and avoid attacks. He's very agile and very fast as well. Deku would say, yeah. Anyways, so when is the test gonna, or the test did end, what am I saying? So, Deku and all the rest of the pro heroes that were there, they leave. And, Deku would wait like a week for class to start. He wakes up the 5 in the morning, like always. And so, he walks to class. No one's there except for Aizawa, who's setting like things up. And Deku would say, like, oh, Aizawa, you're here. And Aizawa would say, yeah, I'm your homeroom teacher. Didn't I tell you? Deku would say, yeah, you did. I just didn't think that you would be here. As I would say, yeah, well, I'm just setting things up for the first day. Anyways, I'm pretty tired, so wake me up when everyone's here. And he, like, puts on his sleeping bag and just goes to sleep. And Deku would say, yeah, alright. So, Deku would just sit at his desk. And he's just playing on his phone. And he's just waiting and waiting. Eventually, class would, or a few people would start walking in. Ida, Todoroki, Momo, they're the ones that got here early. And, Momo would start introducing herself along with Ida. Todoroki didn't say anything. And Deku would come up and he would say, hello, my name is Izuku Midoriya. It's nice to meet you guys. And Momo would point out, like, hey, aren't you, like, didn't you, I saw you in the recommended test. And Deku would say, yeah, I know. Yeah, I saw your fight. You did pretty good. Your quirk is very unique. It's very powerful indeed. And Momo would say, yeah, I guess, but anyway, what's your quirk? Deku would say, well, it's just a small enhancement type quirk. It's nothing special. And Momo would say, well, you were able to dodge Todoroki's attacks and use his ice to your advantage, so you must be a skilled fighter. And Deku would say, yeah, I am. Well, thanks. And, Ida would start talking to Deku, and everyone else would start walking in, and eventually everyone would be there. And as I would say, yeah, and Deku would, like, walk behind the desk, and Ida would say, like, hey, what are you doing? That's the teacher's desk. And Deku would say, I'm waking up the teacher. Hey, Aizawa, wake up. Everyone's here. And Aizawa would say, oh, alright. So he would get out of his sleeping bag and he would say, alright, welcome to UA. I'm your homeroom teacher, Shoto Aizawa. And he would grab the PE uniforms, the gym outfits, and he would say, put these on and meet me at the field. And Deku would say, huh, we're doing a test? And Aizawa would say, yes. And, like, you don't have to do it. But he doesn't say that out loud. He just whispers it to his ear. Since he knows that he's trained with him, so he knows how strong he is, so he doesn't, like, ask him to do it. So yeah. So everyone gets changed, and as, like, Deku, like, takes off his shirt, everyone would see, like, scars on his body and also his metal arm. And they would say, "Whoa, like whoa, like you're manly," Kirishima would say, like what do you do? And like, what's with your arm? Kaminari would say. Deku would say, I got in an accident and got a bionic arm. And they would say, whoa, that's really cool. And Deku would say, yeah, it is. And, they would change. They would start talking about Deku's bionic arm. And, yeah, everyone would be at the field. And, or not, yeah, at the field, and as I would say, great. And he would throw the ball to Bakugo and say, like, how far did you get? What was your farthest softball throw in middle school? Bakugo would say the number. Aizawa would ask Bakugo to throw the ball, but with using his quirk, he would get the same amount, like the same distance as he did in canon. And everyone would start saying, like, oh, this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be really easy. And Aizawa would say, easy, huh? How about this? The person with the lowest test score would be expelled, and someone would say, like, hey, that's unfair, and as I would say, the world isn't fair. Now you have to do your hardest because you don't want to be expelled, right? Show me that it's no mistake that you're here at UA. And he would point to Deku and he would say, Midoriya, you can sit out. You don't need to take this test. And Deku would say, yeah, alright. And everyone would say, like, what? Like, how come he's the only one who is not able to take the test? Aizawa would say, like, frankly, if I'm gonna be honest, he's the strongest one out of you guys. He's trained with pro heroes. He's strong enough to take down me. I've trained him, and I know that you guys are nowhere near his level of strength. And, they would also get intimidated by him and Aizawa, like, as he was saying that, and they would say, like, whoa, is he really that strong? Like, what kind of quirk does he have? And Bakugo was his mind, and he was just thinking, like, yeah, right, there's no one stronger than me. And, yeah, so everyone would do their test. Deku was just sitting out. He's basically just watching them. And eventually, they would do the softball throw again. Everyone would get the same score. Deku would be excused so he doesn't have to be expelled, even though that was a lie. I'm gonna say, no, that wasn't a lie. Midnight gets expelled. Yeah, he does get expelled, and yeah. As I would say, yeah, so that's it for the first day. Pick up a syllabus in the classroom. You're excused. And everyone would start walking back and changing. The boys would start, like, huddling around Deku, and they would say, like, how come you were the only one who was able to not take the test? Like, what kind of quirk do you have? Like, how strong are you? And Deku would say, I just have an enhancement type quirk. Nothing special. And Kaminari would say, well, if it's nothing special, how come Aizawa would say that you're stronger than all of us? And Deku would say, I don't know. I guess in his eyes, I am. And Baku would say, no, you're not. I'm the strongest one here. No one else. You're just a stepping stone to to me becoming the number one hero. Deku would say, well, you have an ego, don't you? And Baku would say, no, I don't. Like, shut up before I kill you. And Deku would say, yeah, right. You can't kill me. And Baku would get, like, frustrated, or he would get, like, really mad, and he would start charging at Deku. Aizawa was about to stop it, but Deku just, like, looks at me and he says, no, I got this. And Bakugo would throw an explosion. Deku would dodge. Deku would grab Bakugo's face with his bionic arm and just slam him towards the ground. He would grab both of his arms and, like, kind of yeah, he would grab him and put him behind his back. And Deku would say, "So you think that you're the strongest? I didn't even try when I had to take you down. So if you're that easy to take down by someone who wasn't even trying, how strong do you think you really like? Do you really think you're that strong?" And Bobby would say, "Yeah, get off me." And he would about to throw another explosion, but his quirk would stop. And Aizawa would say, "That's enough, Bakugo. If you do that one more time, you're expelled." And Bakugo would say, "Yeah, whatever." And he pushes like Deku away. And he changes along with everyone else. And and like Deku like waits for everyone to change and then he changes because he doesn't want anyone to know that he lives at UA. So he just waits for everyone, and then eventually he just leaves the changing room. And he walks to his room, and he makes a stop at the class real quick, and he'd say, "So Aizawa, how did everyone do?" And Aizawa would say, "Everyone did fine except for the one kid I expelled." Deku would say, "Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him. But, you did say that the person with the lowest score had to get expelled." As I would say, "Yeah. Anyway, so what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be in your room?" Doug would say, "Yeah, I should, but I decided to stop by to see what you were doing." And as I would say, "Yeah, I just gotta like do like a few paperworks, then I'll be done." Doug would say, "Yeah, alright. So I'm gonna head to my room and most likely train." And Aizawa would say, "Yeah, alright." So Deku heads to his room, and he trains. Yeah, he just trains, and eventually he goes to sleep, and he doesn't sleep with his bionic arm. He just detaches it, and he has like a special case to put it in. Then he falls to sleep because it's very uncomfortable for him to sleep with his bionic arm. So, anyways, he goes to sleep. And he wakes up, and it's the next day. He always wakes up at 5 in the morning. He gets ready. I'm gonna say he actually does a few. He does like he does a jog around the school. And he showers and stuff, and then he gets ready for class. And yeah, he's the first one there as always. Besides that, Aizawa was not there yet. So he's just waiting. Aizawa would come in. They would talk for a bit, and then everyone else would start coming in. And Aizawa would say, "Alright, so, you're gonna be doing some combat training today." And everyone would say, like, "Combat training? On the second day?" Aizawa would say, "Yes. Well, you guys are at UA. We're supposed to be training you to become heroes, so it's natural for you guys to have combat training." And they would say, like, "So you're gonna be teaching us different combat training?" What am I saying? So they would say, like, "Are you gonna teach us?" And Aizawa would say, "No. There's another hero, another teacher that's gonna train you guys." And All Might would come in. He would say, like, "Oh, I am here, coming through the door like a normal person." Everyone would get excited, and they would say, like, "Oh, it's All Might, it's All Might." And, Deku is like the only one who doesn't really get a reaction. And they're kind of looking at him strangely, and they would say, like, "Aren't you happy that All Might's in the same room as you?" And Deku would say, like, "Not really. I've met him before. He's trained me a few times." And everyone in the class would be shocked that they would say that you trained with All Might. And Deku would say, "Yeah, he's very fun. It's very kind of, yeah, it's kind of hard to train with him, but I have." And Baku would get mad just by hearing this, that, someone trained with All Might. And All Might would say, alright, so we're going to be doing combat training, like Mr. Aizawa said. Now, before we do, we have to get your hero costume. So, like, the wall would start opening up and, like, a bunch of, like, suitcases with, like everyone's names on them. They would All Might would say, grab the suitcase with your name on it. Those are your hero costumes. And for Deku's hero costume, it's the same, or it's not the same, but if you look at at the thumbnail, like Winter Soldier, it's the same thing that he's wearing right now. He has like black baggy pants, or not really baggy, but yeah, he has the same mask. He doesn't have the goggles, and I'm gonna say he has a katana on his back as well. He has a few knives and like two pistols on his side. They're not real, or they are real, but they don't shoot real bullets. They shoot rubber bullets. And he does have his like main gun that he uses. It's a pretty big gun, and he does have a strap on it, so he can just throw it onto his back and just if he doesn't need it. And yeah, so everyone would come out with their hero costumes. Deku's would be like the most. It would be like, I guess you can say, the most plain out of all of them. And they would say like, well, they'll still say like, you have a nice costume, Deku, or Midoriya. And I would say, yeah, thanks. And Kaminari would point out like, yeah, it really like suits you because with your metal arm, it makes you look really cool. Deku would say, oh, you think so? And they would, Kaminari would say, yeah, it does, yeah. And everyone would start questioning Deku about his metal arm. And Deku would say that he got it in an accident, and, he lost his arm and he had to get a replacement. And yeah, All Might would say like, alright, I'm gonna be, like, he would pick the teams. Yeah, he would pick the teams. I would say that they're gonna be the same. Yeah, they're gonna be the same as Canon, Deku, and Uraraka versus Bakugo and Ida. So when their names get drawn to be the first match, and Deku would say, Bakugo and Ida. And he would look at both of them, and Bakugo would start giving off like a glare towards Deku. Deku would say like, why is he giving me a glare? And, he's wondering why, but, he brushes it off and he starts thinking of a plan because he knows their quirks. He's seen them in action, so he knows how they fight. And Deku would start to think of like ways to like counteract their quirks. And Uraraka would say, oh, so we're gonna be facing some pretty strong opponents. And like, I'm kind of nervous. And Deku would say, don't be nervous. We got this. And I'll be the distraction while you look for the bomb and you'll signal me to like which like floor it's in. Then, you can distract them. You can distract the person who's gonna be guarding the bomb, and I'll go for the bomb, or I can be the distraction and you can go for the bomb. And Uraraka would say like, how about you be the distraction and I'll go for the bomb at the end. And Deku would say, yeah, alright, sounds like a plan. Then All Might would say, alright, let the training begin. All Might would say over a speaker. And Deku and Uraraka are walking. Deku is like thinking that Bakugo is gonna be charging at any moment. And Deku would put out his arm out and he would say, stop here. He would pull out his gun. And Uraraka would say like, what's going on? And Deku would say, Bakugo is coming. Have to be ready. And they would start hearing explosions coming towards them. Uraraka would kind of start to get scared, and Deku would say, don't worry, I got this. Once me and him start fighting, that's your cue to leave and search the look for the bomb. Uraraka would say, "Yeah, all right." Eventually, Baku would come around the corner and he would yell out, "Die!" And Deku dodged the explosion, but he would start shooting his gun. Bakugo would get hit by rubber bullets, like around all over his body. And Deku would say, "What are those gauntlets for? It must be some kind of weapon." And Baku would say, like, "How you think you seem like a villain since you're carrying around a gun?" And Deku would say, you have a quirk that makes you ignite explosions. That's more villainous than any kind of gun in the world." And Baku would say, "Shut up, I'm gonna be the number one hero." And, Baku would charge towards him. Deku would dodge because, he knows his fighting style. Baku would turn around and go for a right hook. And Deku would dodge that. He would grab Bakugo's arm and he would basically flip him over like he did in canon, but like much harder since he does have the infinity formula running through his veins. So, Bakugo, he would basically have his air be like pushed out of him, So he would start to cough and start to have like some trouble breathing. Deku would start punching him, and Bakugo would kind of like shoot an explosion, and he would like be launched back, and he would say like, "Ugh, damn it, like, what the hell? I don't know. Like, maybe I have to use the gauntlets." And Baku would say like, "All right, like since you won't give up, I guess I'll have to use these. They've been storing up my sweat this entire time. So for like to make a bigger explosion." Deku would say, "So that's what it's meant for." Baku was about to pull the pin, and he would say like, "Time to die." And All-Might would come in and he would say like, "No, you'll kill him." Baku would say like he'll be fine as long as he dodges. Deku would pull out his gun, and he would shoot Bakugo's gauntlet that he's like about to use, and it punctures a hole through it, and like all like his sweat would start leaking, like coming out, and the explosion wouldn't be as big as it would be in canon. Yeah, there would still be an explosion, but it's nowhere near as big as it was. And Baku would say, "What? Like, how come the explosion wasn't that big?" Then he would look to see like a hole in his gauntlets, and that his like sweat that was leaking out. And Baku would say like, "Damn you, I'm gonna kill you for that." He would launch himself forward. Deku would say, "All right." Then he would dodge out the way, but Baku predicted this. Baku would shoot an explosion towards Deku's face. Deku would get hit by it. He would kind of be blinded by this, but he'll regain his eyesight. And Baku would go in for a kick, but Deku would block it with his bionic arm. And Baku would try to hit him with his arm, or yeah, he would try to throw a punch, but Deku would block it with his bionic arm, and Bakugo's wrist would be broken. Yeah, his wrist would be broken. Baku would start yelling out in pain, like, "Ugh," like, "What? Like, my hand is broken." Deku would say, "Yeah, sorry, you tried to hit me, so I blocked it with my arm, my bionic arm, and since it's metal, you basically just hit a metal wall, and that obviously broke your hand." Baku would say, "Shut up, I can still beat you." Baku would start charging. Deku would say, "No, it's time to end this." So he would start rushing towards Bakugo. Then he would just punch him right in the face with his bionic arm. And yeah, Bakugo would be knocked out instantly. And as that, he captures Bakugo in the capture tape. All-Might would say, like, "Bakugo is eliminated. He has been captured by the heroes." Uraka would come in through like the earpiece that they had, and Uraka would say, "The bomb is on the first floor. I found it." Deku would say, "I'll be right there. Stay there." So he rushes towards the top building, or not the top floor. Then he meets up with Uraka, and Deku would say, "All right, so the bomb is in there." And Uraka would say, "Yeah, but is guarding it." Deku would say, "I got an idea." I'm gonna say he had smoke grenades. So yeah, he uses a smoke grenade. He throws it in there. Ito's like wondering if that's an actual grenade, so he like gets back, but it's just a smoke grenade. Deku uses that as a like just as a distraction. Deku would say, "Now it's your time. Go for the bomb." Uraka would say, "Yeah, okay." But Ito would hear Uraka rushing towards the bomb. He doesn't know where she is, but he will start throwing kicks. And eventually, he would hit Uraka and causing her to go flying back to like a wall, making a crater. She would get knocked out. And Deku would say like, "Damn it, like she got knocked out. It's all up to me now." So he would rush in. The smoke would clear, and Ito would rush towards Deku. Ito would throw a kick, and Deku would throw a punch, and Deku's punch was like the punch that he threw was like so hard that it cracked Ito's like armor that's around like his leg. Ito would be like shocked that his armor got cracked. Ito would say like, "Dang it, if he starts using his metal arm, then my armor would be broken. I have to think of another way to attack." And Ito would start like try to throw punches, but he obviously does not know how to throw a punch since he only fights with his legs. So Deku would dodge. Deku would throw a punch, and he like, since Ida has a helmet, he wasn't really worried about Ida. So he throws a punch. Ida would get sent flying, or he would be knocked out, or not knocked out, knocked back. He would stumble. He would kind of be dazed, and eventually, Deku would just put his hand on the bomb, and All Might would say, "The hero team wins." And yeah, that's where I'm gonna be ending it off. I hope you guys like this part. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.